Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we automated our mix and we're just about ready to do a final pass to bounce it down. Bouncing to disk is the process of rendering all the tracks in our arrange window. All these various tracks that we have, we want to mix them all down to one master stereo file that we can use to burn to a CD or to import into an iPod or iTunes. I've created a cycle that lasts the length of the entire song. Let's give a listen to our little masterpiece and see if there's any last little tweaks that we need. I'm going to hit play and we can listen. Hi, this is Eli Kranzberg speaking for Groovebox Music. Stay tuned for an exciting new series of videos called Logic 8 Tips and Tricks. Getting creative. Okay, there's a couple of things I noticed right away. First of all, the last note trails on a bit. I want to fade out the entire mix of what's left at the end after that last chord hits at bar 12. So to do this, I'm going to open my mixer window and I'm going to control click on this output object and go select arrange track. I'm going to close that, and now we have a track in the arrange window that'll address that entire output, so I can automate that easily. So I'm going to hit my key command A for automation. And this is set for simple volume automation. And I'm just going to do a little dip from bar 12. I want it to be out, let's say, by bar 13. I want it to do, let's say by there. I want it to be out by there. Let's give a listen and see what that's like. Getting creative. Okay, so that's working fine. It's fading out nicely at the end of my cycle zone, and that'll work great for a final bounce. Now I notice in the mixer also that the master output is clipping. It's going above 0. You see it says 0.4 there. And that's the result of the sum of all of these other tracks, which are all fine on their own, but the summed signal altogether is exceeding 0. I'm going to use a plugin now from Logic to help solve that. It's a peak limiter plugin. It's under the dynamics section, and it's called the add limiter. I know it's off screen now, but it's called add limiter, which is short for adaptive limiter. And this is a peak limiter plugin that serves to take any of the individual samples that peak above 0 and it compresses them in a soft, gentle way that allows the rest of the dynamic range to be intact. I'm setting the output ceiling here to minus 0.3, meaning I don't want any peaks at all in the whole mix to exceed minus 0.3. And then this gain control here is where you set the amount of limiting that you want applied to the signal. I'm going to leave it at about 3 like that, which is a general setting, and have it interact with the output ceiling and peak at minus 0.3. Okay, so let's give a listen now and see what that sounds like. Hi, this is Eli Kranzberg speaking for Groovebox Music. Stay tuned. Videos called Long Tricks. I'm just pausing for a moment. I want you to notice how this doesn't go above 0.03. Getting creative. Okay, that's working fine. So now I'm going to do the bounce to disk command, which again is the process of rendering all the audio that arrives at this output here to a stereo pair or mono pair if you have this in, or mono file if you have it in mono. It's important to be aware of all your audio that's happening in your mix. If you're using any external MIDI devices, it's important to either render them as an audio file first by recording them on a regular audio track, or feed them into Logic's audio stream into your audio interface via a live aux input like this, so that all the audio is arriving at these outputs, at this one output pair. Okay, so we can invoke the bounce command from under the file menu, bounce, I have a key command assigned to it, or from this bounce button on the master output. So this will call up a dialog box with a variety of information that needs to be input and settings that need to be set. It's going to default to a folder called bounces that resides in your project folder that you created at the beginning of your project. So I'm going to call this promo mix. Okay, I'm going to leave the default location to go to the bounces folder. Here we have the type of format that you want the bounced file to be in. I want a PCM file, which is a regular broadcast quality file that we're used to working with, like AIF, WAV, Sound Designer 2, and now the new Core Audio format in Logic Pro 8. But I'm going to leave it at AFF. But I also want it to be in MP3. For now, let's look at the PCM settings. So I want the file format that it's going to create to be AIFF. I want it to be in 16-bit. We've been working in 24-bit, but I want it to be in 16-bit since that's the format that I need for it to be burned onto an audio CD. And I want the sample rate to be 44.1, 44,100 samples per second, so I'm going to leave that. And the file type interleaved versus split. Now, dithering, what this is the math that's used by Logic when it takes the 24-bit files that we've been using and reduces it to 16-bit. It's the algorithms and mathematics that it uses in order to work with those top 8 bits. Instead of just chopping them off, it reduces them down to 16-bit using some special algorithms that incorporate that information that's in the top 8 bits rather than chopping them off. So you can choose different types of dithering. Now you need to experiment on your own and see what you like best. I'm going to choose power number 3 for now. Okay, we further have some other settings here, real-time or offline. Real-time bounce means it's going to play back in real time as it's rendering the file. Offline will do it silently and, depending on the speed of your computer, ideally faster. The start and end points, this is where you want it to render the file, starting from where and ending at what point. Now, I have a cycle enabled in the bar ruler here, so when you invoke the bounce command, Logic defaults to entering the cycle, the left and right locators, as the start and end points. So it's setting a cycle up in the bar ruler is a convenient way of getting your start and end points set for when you open your bounce dialog box. You won't have to input them manually. So those are set already. Normalize is a new function in Logic 8, which when you're bouncing material that's a little bit lower level, it normalizes it on the master fader, brings it up to a user-definable threshold set below 0. I'm going to leave that off for now because I'm doing all my processing with the adaptive limiter. Add to audio bin, I'm going to enable that. So when it's done bouncing, it'll add the file into the audio bin in this Logic project. And I have the option further of adding to the iTunes library. I'm going to leave that for now. So I also want this to create an MP3 file for me. So I'm going to click MP3, and here I'm presented with a new set of settings for how I want the MP3 file to be made. These settings I've set before, so I'm happy with where they are, but the bit rate for mono or stereo is basically just resolution, how good a quality you want, and as always, it's a trade-off between size and quality. So I'm choosing a decent quality size, but that won't be too big. Variable bit encoding. These are just various different MP3 encoding options. I'm going to leave that one off for now. These are sort of standard defaults. So the rest of it I'm just going to leave. This is the important one for me right now. So I'm going to click the bounce button. You're probably going to lose my voice when it starts bouncing. It's going to render the file. You'll see a progress bar. And once it's done, you'll see another progress bar doing the dithering, where it dithers it down to 16-bit. And then you'll see another one rendering it as an MP3. So here we go. Hi, this is Eli Kranzberg speaking for Groovebox Music. Stay tuned for an exciting new series of videos called Logic 8 Tips and Tricks. Getting creative. Okay, we're back. So it did the MP3 conversion first, then the dithering. So that's it. Our bounce is done now. If I close this up, we can look in our audio bin window and hit B, and we'll see here at the bottom, there's our final mix, promo mix. And if we just hide Logic for a moment, we can see in our project folder, in the bounces folder, there are 2 files, promo mix AIF, ready to burn to a CD in Waveburner or Toast or whatever, or Jam, and our MP3 ready to upload for a podcast or a website, or it could already be included in iTunes if I had enabled that option to import it into the iTunes library, but ready to go on an iPod or send it an email or whatever. So that's it. That's basically the process of bouncing to disk a final mix, rendering it all to one final file. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.